Make sure we're recording here. Big Poppy in the house. This is video 4 of the series for troubleshooting and setting up a lead Loadmaster press. Today let's just briefly go through what we've already got set up. We've already set up our tension on our alignment for our turret and the shell plate to be lined up. We identified an easy indicator on how to mark your index rod so you know that the long side is always supposed to be up. We've also set our distance on our slider here for feeding the cases to the shell plate. We've loaded our tubes up with our cases. We've verified that it's working every single time and the cases are not falling all over. We've talked about setting up the primer system and to make sure you know the spring's not bent and everything's set up correctly where it needs to be. We've got the tension set up correctly on our travel. We've talked about making sure that your press is mounted where it's not moving all over the place or it's not moving back and forth. We've talked about taking full strokes on your travel here, up and down, and don't half stroke it. We've talked about the tension, how tight it needs to be on your shell plate holder. We've talked about the metal piece that goes on top of it underneath the nut that kicks your rounds out to your bend. And I'm going to take this off the tripod here a minute, and I want to show you and talk a little bit about alignment. You know, we talked about this bolt that's underneath the bottom of your press here. You can take your turret and move it side to side if you loosen it up, and you want to have that almost all the way over. And I'm going to show you when that turret's set up, or the carriage is set up correctly, that you can see where this index rod is. So I'm going to try taking it off the tripod here and showing you that. Alright, so back of the press, you're going to see, let's see, I need to get this right. You're going to see this where it's traveling up, and you'll notice that it comes straight up all the way to the top, hits this little notch right here, and kicks it over to the side. And I'm going to try to do the best I can as far as showing you this on video. Okay, see how it's up and over? And watch when it travels down. Okay, right here, this rides along this rib. Okay, so it's got to be right sitting on top of it. And you'll see that it comes down, and I'm going to try to do this so you can see it. It comes down, goes over that next notch, comes down, and then you push the handle in. And that index rod will be right next to your plate right here. Let's see how we can do this so you guys can see it better. Let me try a couple different things. Maybe zooming in. Okay, let's start at the top. See how it's over the top of this? And the reason why I want to spend some time with this is very important, and this usually is what a lot of the problems are. So this will be at the top when it's all the way down. And if I can do a very good job here, when it comes down, it still stays against the press. It starts to come down and it slides out, comes over, and your handle goes forward and pushes it forward. And if you can see it in there, it's tucked back over to the left side, almost touching the frame. So let's watch it go up. Guys, please bear with me. I'm trying to do this the best I can. It goes up. See, it's going over. It hits the press. It kicks out at the top. Goes up. Comes back down. Slides. Comes down. And it tucks behind there. Now, I don't know if this helps, but let's see if I could do it from the side too to show you. So it's right against it. It goes up, straight up, kicks it over, comes down, slides, goes down, starts to tuck behind, and in all the way. Alright, let me put this back up on the tripod here. And let's see, get this right here. Okay, so again, if this alignment is not straight up where it needs to be, and it needs to be touching the press, you'll need to come underneath here, and you're going to take a socket, and it's 7/16, and you're going to loosen that bolt up, and you're going to, when you loosen that up, take it and grab it right here, one on the right hand side, one on the left side here, and just move this plate here a little bit either back or forward, whatever you need to do to put this right against there. If you're too tight against there, it will not even let you cycle it. It will not even let you pull the handle down. So, and you know what do they call that? The carrier. Let's use some proper term here. So take your carrier and you're going to move it slightly. A lot of times when this gets out of alignment, that's throwing the whole press off and it doesn't want to work very well. Okay? Now, what I want to show you is when it comes down and it starts to ride on this lip here, what I want to tell you, what you can do, and let's see here, I got a piece of paper. Okay, on this part at the bottom, here's your indicator on your index rod, and here's the bottom part on the back side of your index rod. I want you to take this and take a file to it, okay, and go about 3 times or 4 along there, and just take a little bit off. Alright, and then what that does, you can just barely get a piece. When this is against the press, you can't even hardly get a piece of paper between this. Okay, so take just a little bit off with a file on this whole flat part right here, right there. Okay, then I want you to come back and I want you to go to your clean ride lube, put a little bit on a rag, and take this part on the back side of this index rod, put some of that on the bottom of it and on the entire back of that. Okay. Alright, and then go ahead and put your index rod back in. And what that does, it makes it actually ride, and it has a lot smoother transition for engaging. And just that little bit of this, it almost turns like a coating, like a little bit of wax on the back of it. It actually lubricates it and helps it to flow along this press here, along the ribs. It makes it really work a lot better. Okay, all right. Go ahead and put your turret in the top. Get it locked down, get it lined up. And then, you know, a lot of people don't do a lot of cleaning as far as their dies. I do, because it has a tendency to build up, and this worked out good for doing this video because it was time for me to go ahead and clean these dies up. So as always, you're going to take a 1/2-inch wrench, and you're going to need a 3/4-inch wrench. And since we're going to go ahead and set this whole press up, is we're going to keep going until we have this press totally set up, and then we'll load some bullets. So we're going to keep going. All right, so go ahead and take, and on your decapping die, you want to make sure that this is flat with your rod on the top of it. Make sure it's flat. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this off. So go ahead and untighten it. And normally they're pretty tight. Okay, and then when you take that apart, you're going to have this piece. That piece right there. You're going to have your rod, decapping pin, and then you're going to have your die. Okay? Now, what I do, and you can do it different ways, I'm just showing you how I do it, is get you some of these Q-tips. You can buy them on wood. You can go buy them at Walmart for like, I think they're like $1 for 200 or 300 of them. And you're going to take, and this same stuff that we've been using, which is called Clean Ride, take and put some of this on a Q-tip and take that inside your die. Clean it out really good. And I haven't seen anybody that normally doesn't keep them clean. You know, you're always going to get some dirt and grime out of it. Okay. So go ahead and clean that out real good. I usually follow up with another dry one right behind it. Alright. Alright, then what I want you to do is I want you to, after you've cleaned it out, and I got a light here, it should be totally clean in there. Okay. Alright, then what I want you to do is take this Clean Ride, put a little bit on a Q-tip, doesn't take a lot. Go ahead around in the inside of your die there. Go ahead and put that around there. You know, they already tell you to lube your brass so they cycle fairly easy. And now what you're doing is actually you're using this, that, you know, like this Clean Ride, and it actually puts a little bit of a coating in the inside of your die here, and it'll make it perform a lot better too. Alright, so we've got that all cleaned up. We'll set that aside. Okay, a couple things that you could do is you want to make sure that when you put that back in your die, that your decapping pin is flush here with the nut. Now, tricks of the trade, a couple things you could do. If you want to know all the time, is if you're starting to have some issues, because a lot of times when this decapping pin starts raising above the nut, that means there's a problem. And normally when that happens, you've got a NATO ram, you've got something that's crimped, and it's just not removing the crimp out of it, or the primer. Okay, so what it's made to do this, so it comes up so it doesn't break your pin. Okay, so when you install it, it should be flush. If it starts coming up, there's a problem with that piece of brass. You can take the brass out, you can push this back down, and you can tighten it back up. Okay, now what I like to do is I take a marker. This one's got actually a gray color to it, because it's all about setting the press up, enjoying reloading, and being able to go shoot. And when a lot of things happen to your press, it's frustrating. Been there, done it, did it. Is what I do is I take, like this one's a gray marker. I'm not sure if you can see it, but this actually measures down to where I marked it, 0.230. So I know that's tight for the 40 cal, and it's color coded. Make it simple. I can see it visually. Okay, let's set that aside for right now. All right, now go ahead and do the same thing. Take a rag, put a little bit of this clean ride on it. Now, I want you to go ahead and clean your decapping pin here, your rod, but I only want you to do probably around 3/4 from about here all the way down, and then I'll explain why. So leave it about 3/4 of an inch on the top. Do not put this on it. Go ahead and clean that up real good. You've got a little coating on it. Now, you probably want to know why I said not to go all the way up. What happens is this coating makes it too slippery at the top. So when you take and put that in, if you put that on there, you're going to find out that unless you get this really good and tight so it doesn't move on you, it's really defeating the purpose, because we want it to come up on the top of the nut so we don't break off the pin, and then we got to spend another $8 to $12 for a new decapping rod. Right? So what I found is it gets actually too smooth, too slippery, and it wants to come up. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Alright, so go back to your die. You're going to go ahead and screw this back in. And guys, I know a bunch of you are way advanced on all this stuff. You already know it. But we do have a lot of subscribers that do not know this kind of stuff. And these here are the kind of things that I learned a long time ago. So that's why I'm taking my time going through it. So I've got it color coded, so I know exactly where it needs to go down, so I'm not over tightening it. Okay, remember the main thing we wanted was the top of it being flush. I've already got a color code here to how far to go down. I know exactly, if you want to take a caliper and measure this out from the end, it's a 0.230. Take your nut, bring it all the way up. Go ahead and screw it in hole number 1. Go ahead and raise your ram so your handle is going to be all the way down. Go all the way in until it touches. And when it touches, you want to tighten it up. Some of you may use crescent wrenches. I bought one of these. It's 1.1 inches. Makes it a lot easier. Keep the handle down. Take the wrench, grab a hold of your die at the top of it, and start tightening up that nut. Okay. Alright, now let's check and make sure that we've got that set up correctly. And I'm going to put a few on here. And a lot of times you will see some issues with some of the natives trying to get some of those primers out. The other thing that you want to make sure that you keep that tight is it's also shaping your case back into place, the original size. So let's go ahead and run these off and check them out. Oh, look at that, you got some even missing my bin. Pick these up off the floor. Alright, so as you can see, we've got it set up correctly. All the primers are gone. Okay, we'll move that over to the side there. Alright, next one is, in this particular case, I don't need to flare the case mouth more than what I can get with my powder setup. So I don't need to put this other die, which I will cover in one of the videos, that you can do that and use it on different calibers to flare it up before it goes to the powder measure. Some of the powder measures leave it straight walled and it will not flare it. Okay, so the next, so again, we're going to put the next die in, which this is the universal decapping die. And first thing what I want to do, again, go back to cleaning this out, cleaning it up, and once again put some of this on your Q-tip. Go ahead and clean this out real good. I can't emphasize, if you take care of your presses, how much longer they will last, and also for you to be happy as far as reloading and not fighting all the issues. And as you can see, pretty dirty there. So we'll put another one. So the only thing this die is doing is just basically just lining up your case when the primer is installed. So get it good and clean. And again, you've taken out the decapping pin and nut here. Okay, now let me put a little in it to coat it. Okay, we're good there. What you're going to do is you're going to drop the handle all the way down. You're going to screw this in until it touches your shell plate holder. When it touches your shell plate holder, which is right there, I usually back it about just about 1/8 of a turn. Go ahead and tighten that up. And it's time to get my wrench here. Like I said, hold the top, use your wrench, It's good and tight. Alright, so now what we're ready for is the powder. So out of all the powder drops, the disc drops, other vendors, the best powder drop that I like, and I've got it on all my presses, is it's called Lee Auto Drum Powder Measure. You've got a small one, you got a large one. So the unit comes in a box. It's got the instructions, everything here that you need. And here's what it looks like right here. This little flat piece here, every time you turn it, it's 1 cc. So you've got a indicator for a small or a large. The small's got a indentation right here, and then on the large one it doesn't have this. Okay, and then when you get it in a kit, it's going to look just like that, and it's going to have a little piece on underneath here, a little foot, and I'll show you later how to take that off. And this is set up that every time I pull the handle down and it comes up, it actually puts powder in the cases. I don't have to worry about no chain, no wires, no discs. This is a very nice piece of equipment that they came out about, oh, maybe a year and a half ago. I think the price is starting to come down a little bit right now. Okay, so when you get your die set, it's going to come just like this, and it's going to have there's a little piece. Well, I'm not sure where I put it, but there's another little piece that fits in the top part of that. And what I do is with these new powders, because you got to get them up higher so you can use your accessory for your setting your depth of your bullet. Also, I got bullet feeders, which I'm going to show you how to put that on too. You want to buy this die from Lee, and it's an extender, and it's not very pricey. I think maybe $12.50. And then what you do is you're going to have this going with this type of a powder drop, and it's got a piece in it, and this piece looks just like this. You're going to drop it in, and it's got a little black O-ring here. Just take and put it on, and take this, screw it into the top, and like I said, you're going to have probably, if you're not using this powder drop here, you probably have got a little thing that just screws in the top of it, and you can reload with that and not have to go with the extension. But if you plan on going with this, you'll have to have an extension. Alright, so just snug that up by hand. Again, what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and do the same thing here. We're going to put some of this clean rod on it, and we're going to go ahead and clean this out. Now, due to the fact that this is your powder, is you want to make sure that you get it good and dry before you start running powder through it, or it's going to be oatmeal to the walls of your dies and your cases. And since this is a good cleaning time and I'm doing this, I am going to go ahead and take this extension off of it for a minute, and I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to go ahead and slide out the collet that's inside here. I'm going to clean it up real good. And that will allow me to do a good job inside here. All these little things matter, and they do make a difference. Okay, we got that one good and clean. Let's hit this little insert thing here. It goes here. I'm going to take a rag and wipe it down. And then go ahead and drop it back in. And I've already cleaned these. Go ahead and set that in. Okay. Now bring your handle down. Go ahead and screw this in. Go till it touches your plate. Now, this is going to change a little bit depending on how much you need to flare the case. Okay? So, leave that loose there. You've already got it down till it touched. Okay? Now what I want you to do is take a screwdriver and I want you to loosen up that back guide. And then I also want you to pull the index rod. Pull it out. Okay, now what I want you to do, let's go ahead and decap this real quick. And line it up. Okay, so what I've done is resize the case there, and I took the index out so it wouldn't cycle on me, and you'll notice the primer's out. Okay, and all I'm worried about right now is, do I have enough of a flare on this case to accept the bullet? Because right now, if you look at this, without going into that powder, it's not flared and it doesn't want to go into the case. Okay, so now you're going to put that case over there, and you're going to run it up. And the reason why you got to line it up is we've got the index out, so it's going to be out of alignment. So remember, it's only down till it touched. Okay, we're almost there. Just I want to go a tad down. Put it back in there. Oh, perfect. And there you have the bullet. See, it didn't take very much an adjustment on that. So now what I want you to do is, hope you guys are seeing this. Okay, what I want you to do is take and hold this and go ahead and tighten this nut up. Okay. And I'm going to make sure on where I need to go. Perfect. Alright. Now, if you make the mouth too wide, when it goes up into your powder, it's going to start jamming up because it's flared too much. Okay? So let's go back and we're going to tighten that up. Okay, we got that tight. We're going to tighten the top. Alright. Now, this is a 40 cal, so we already know it's going to take a small drum for the powder. Okay? And on the bottom of this, it's threaded. And you'll notice it's got a little ring here, like a nut thing that you can tighten it up. You can take it when you get in your press, instead of taking and turning this around like this, you're not going to be able to do it in a lot of cases. So just take your fingers and use your index finger and then use your thumb. Okay? Alright. So now what we're going to do is we're going to set this, and I'm going to have to raise this up a little bit now. So you're going to sit there, and you're going to take, like I told you, take your thumb and your index finger, and you're going to start tightening that up. Now right now, since I don't have the bullet thing right next to it, I could actually cheat and go ahead and screw this in the majority of the way. And I want this tab to be facing to me as much as possible. Because when I'm sitting there dialing in the powder drops and that, I want to be able to get to that. So if you start turning around a different way, it just makes it a lot harder for you to be able to do that. So what I want to do is start tightening that up. Okay, which I've got it tight. Alright, now let's see. Okay, up here at the top, you're going to notice this, and this is going to go up. When I pull the handle down, the brass is going to go up inside here, and it's going to release the powder out of this right here. This is where your powder is being accumulated. Right here, being accumulated. So let me get one of these rounds, and we're going to go up. Now, what I want you to look at too is, look at this right here. This is a spring inside here. And as I put tension and the case comes up, this is going to bottom out. There's a little tab right here. That needs to bottom out here at the top. Okay? This is going to start moving around. It's already got where the powder comes. When the powder comes down here, it's filling up this right here, and when this goes up, this comes around clockwise, and the powder drops out of this area right here inside this metal piece. Okay, so let's go ahead and watch that. It's going to come up. Now you notice that this over here, you have to click that. So that is a trouble thing, shooting, to make sure it's working correctly. Let's do that again. If it's out, it's not going to go up. See that? So this should be turning. Snap it back over on the back side, and now your unit works. Okay. Alright. Hold on a minute. Alright, I think that's long enough for today. Hope this makes sense. I'm trying to get the camera where it needs to be. Want to still focus on the issues and how to set things up. Talk about the importance of different things and why we do it. So again, when we come back, we're going to go ahead and start throwing some powder. I want to show you how to use this. and how you adjust it. And I want to show you on the powder that if you half stroke it, 9 times out of 10 you're going to actually overflow your powder. So if you learn always to do a full stroke, and if something's binding in that, you stop because something's not right. So we're going to be talking about that. I'm going to be showing you how to set up a bullet drop system. I'll tell you the parts and what you're going to need, and you got to get parts to make this work from 3 manufacturers, and I'll go through how they work and how to set it up. Let's see, then we'll get in and we'll talk about setting the depth, your overall length with your bullets, with the dies. And after we get finished with that one, we're going to be pretty well finished, I believe. And like I said, if you've got a chance right now, when we come back and seating our bullets, go ahead and clean those up, because we're going to do that next time on the video, same as what we've already did. Hopefully you've got some of this clean ride. Let me know what you think about it once you start using it. Again, you can add a press light inside your press. I also can show you how to make those and buy the stuff off eBay and save a lot of money. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and tighten that back guide up. And what I'd like to do is come back, because we're going around and we're setting everything up. We will actually load some ammo with it, and then if luck's on our side, we'll have some malfunctions and some problems with it, and we'll just fix it on the go. You know, we've covered a lot of stuff, and I hope that if you're going to spend a lot of time looking at the video, or if you want to advance it where you already know most of it, spend a lot of time on what we talked about with the alignment of making sure that this is straight up and down. Majority of the time, if it ain't the primer being an issue with it, it's usually alignment right here that it's not running correctly, and it wants to actually, you'll get to a point where this will, if your carrier is not exactly set up the way it's supposed to, it'll keep moving back, and this index rod will not even hit this side here and not even go through this function. And you'll sit there and say, wow, how's come that shell plate's not moving? Well, it's all in here, and it's in this alignment here. Okay, as always, if you enjoy my channel, please subscribe. Please support the sport, and good shooting, my friends. Thank you.